I see.
The only problem I have with that would be you're going to a place to drink.
Yeah, but I didn't know, we weren't on council back then, but they did that for James's Pizza. Which, it doesn't affect James's anyway, but that's why they come down to Fifth Ward. They're allowed to go down there because of James's Pizza. Although James don't know.
Yeah.
When John Brown was on there, they amended it.
I was curious how it's.
Joe Lashinsky wanted it. And they
Well, I mean, it was for the pizza part, supposedly for the pizza part.
yeah, but then it all opened until 4:30 and the floor closes at 5. So
Right. Well, yeah. I think that was more to get, because he was
he
complaining.
wanted them down in the Fifth
He
Ward.
wanted the business.
access.
Yeah, he wanted the business too.
Yeah.
Betsy
Basically,
said
but
she'll
she
see
ain't
it
getting
later,
it.
so.
Okay,
Why
I
unless
Unless
assume
you
she
open up earlier.
all right.
Right, it don't matter. Ooh.
What's following?
What are you, security?
Yeah, checking IDs.
How are you gonna see?
But yes. So
That's not
You
gonna.
might have a valid.
Maybe you have a seat there.
You might have a valid.
Yeah, because you're not
I don't know. Bruce, you want one of these?
I was gonna say it.
All right.
I'm pretty
You
sure I
didn't send out
made
your
copies of them.
Jason, on your desk?
Well, that's what she's gonna be using.
Oh,
I said, Michelle's.
Oh, hey guys.
How are you?
How are you? Yeah, very. That's my basketball. My grandson pulled it out. I said, what tie? And he goes, this one, Papa.
Can't say no to that.
I got this whole last name thing figured out. I had some help. I told him that down
Yeah.
Yeah, remember I said how you pronounce your last name? You're asking about
So
it.
they're
Everybody knows how to say it. I'm like, come on, man. Oh, you remember doing that?
Broke
I know, it is, but-
I started doing something today and I said,
You ever go someplace and go back to where it started out?
was back home, going down the road, wanted to go to auto parts, make counts up there. I'm going into June. What am I going here for? Charlie.
Well, they probably have to get 1, 2,
Right.
2.5,
it's done already.
5 sheets probably. I'm thinking if they only did one wall, did they just do one wall or did they do?
It's in the wall, they had to fix all the rooms.
Yeah,
Well,
so,
we're probably both sides.
yeah, I mean, I couldn't pay that for my kitchen.
Oh, you.
Well, they already did it,
Yeah,
so,
cheap because it's labor, it's nothing.
yeah, we already did it, so it's not even a question anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the mailbox.
The only thing, which is good, is
Yeah.
I hate complaints.
No, so far.
I didn't get a chance to really sit.
Mike, there's a seat over here. There's a seat over here.
He's talking to you.
There's a seat over here.
Yep, that I can't see.
Oh,
So I'm gonna hang out here until Michelle's
Okay.
done and
I just thought maybe you went to come up here, sit by us. We're not good enough
No,
now.
no, no. It's okay. We're the
Oh, you don't want
peons.
to sit
that tree?
Yes.
I see that.
But
Hey.
by me today.
I know.
Runs out.
Oh, you ain't getting there.
Yeah, we're anywhere.
Unless you see it from here.
Pretty
We're not
wide.
yet.
I sit up here, run out, if he runs out, puts a load on when we come back.
As nice as it is.
Betsy showing up?
You.
Expected. That's why she said she would see him later.
Right.
How are you? Yes.
Hi, Barb.
There they are.
How are you?
Very good, thanks. How are you? Okay.
Did you tell him?
No, no, I did not.
He'll appreciate that.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
You got your signs in the car?
There.
Oh, no. I need at least three.
Never see her.
One's gonna go to St.
I'm
Francis
not.
from my house and
So
one
I
from my
never,
son's
when you
house.
see her, you talk to her, tell her I said
Two
hello.
doors down from each
I used to clean the house.
Val, did you look at the safe, safe one? Did you get that? Is that all taken care of?
Yeah.
Two safe swim.
Well, maybe you'll get a
Yeah,
table.
it's-
Maybe a table.
Yeah. We're supposed to.
Oh, yeah.
And paint it.
Yeah. We just said today, it was getting ready for me to detail on.
You have word here.
You get your courtroom redecorated.
Yeah,
My
sure.
courtroom.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't even know where I'm at. Yeah, I'm knocking it down. And
Gonna build a ballroom.
Like a grand ballroom. Yeah, just don't make it 290
Oh
million
my
dollars.
gosh, with all the taxpayers.
Yes.
Make it nice.
Invite all of us.
Yeah,
Money-
don't forget us
Money
peanuts.
is no, money is no object.
And your room will be a bit bigger than that. Bigger than the
What'd you do, Bob? I mean, like. Oh, nothing there.
I realized that there ain't
It was actually fun traveling. Holy heck. Somebody got one part of the fire already. No.
Oh, you're not. Is it today Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's Monday. tomorrow.
Yeah, over the summer. before she finished.
You don't write it
Are these yours? Or is this his?
I thought you just copied it.
I thought I did too, but this was on his desk.
I might have put it down.
I got them from Walters, but not.
This is all part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all I have.
This was all part of it. This was all part of it.
We're gonna call tonight's special meeting, October 22nd, 6 o'clock to order. We'll start with a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll do the roll call next.
Okay, go ahead, roll call.
Councilwoman Arnold.
Here.
Councilman Janice.
Here.
Councilman Kayla.
Here.
Councilwoman Moyer.
Here.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Here.
All present and accounted for, and we can proceed.
Okay. Correspondence, and we have a presentation by Michelle Brummer that on the resilience, not resilience, I'm sorry. Comprehensive plan. So I'm gonna turn it over to Michelle.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Get out of the way.
Sure.
And if you do it, I have to do it. I'll do it.
if we hit that switch, that should shut the lights off on this side and it helps with the photo.
It'll help you.
Right above your head.
Well, we're gonna keep it on the wall because of, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Right?
Bruce, where are you?
It's like a movie theater, right? Okay. Good evening, everyone, and I'm happy to say we're here at the end of a process and the start of another. But I'm here to give you just an overview of Shamokin 2035, 10-year comprehensive plan for community and economic development. I have worked on this planning effort with Betsy Kramer from CEDACOG, as well as a committee that council several years ago appointed to work with and advise us on this plan. This was, I believe, one of the requirements coming out of the city's recovery. And the comprehensive plan is a document that is, I think of it as, it's a thinking document, and then we commit that these are the things we want to work on, but you can't be taken to court for it. It's not a law. There's not an enforcement against it. But if you don't say what you want your community to be in the future, and you don't lay out those thoughts of where you want to make improvements, what are the chances that all the people who are making decisions, be that around this table, at an authority table, at a utility table, at somewhere else, are going to be making decisions that complement the direction you're trying to lead in? So by putting it in a document, having conversations, putting it in a document, and providing opportunities for people to comment on it, and then adopting it, you're saying, this is the direction we would like to go. Things are going to change on a day-to-day basis, on a year-to-year basis. It's not what you're going to get up and do tomorrow morning. It's not that kind of a plan, but it's meant to give direction and give you some hope and aspiration for things that you could achieve by working steadily in the areas of community and economic development. So this is very much about physical development and the services that people ask for when they occupy that development, whether they're citizens, residents living in housing units, or whether they're business owners and employees. There are services, health, safety, welfare kinds of services that go along with supporting that kind of occupancy and that kind of a tax base. And that's what this plan kind of talks about. The date at the bottom in red, the May date, was the last date that I made a revision based on a comment that we got. I can't tell you who that was. It was several months ago. But this is the date of the version that went through the Planning Commission. They held a public meeting in July at the library, and we had some discussion around that. We did have a couple folks from the public, a small handful. They generally expressed support. I don't think there was any negativity at that meeting, but that was one step. The Planning Commission is your planning agency. They should have an opportunity to look at this, comment, agree, disagree, and say we need to reshape something, but they felt this was a satisfactory draft to bring to council for review and approval. So about the plan. So this looks out 10 years. Comprehensive plan is one of the planning tools the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code says you may use. It sits there alongside zoning, subdivision and land development, capital improvement program, traffic impact fees. You don't have to use all these tools, but you may. And you can't do things that are outside of what that planning code says you can do. So the comprehensive plan is this policy document. What direction do we want to go? What are all the parts that we need to keep in view? And we would want to be moving in the same direction toward our vision to help us achieve our goals. So we are looking at different kinds of land uses, kind of represented by the icons on the top. Housing, whether that be single family detached or tall apartment kind of housing, different kinds of businesses, small and large. Not so much agriculture here in Shamokin, but there's still some greenery aspects that are really important to quality of life here and maybe integrated with different kinds of uses. So that's the activity that we as humans, as social beings, bring to a space. And then we rely on infrastructure to walk, bike, move goods, drive our cars around, take buses to get places. And we need water infrastructure to drink and take away our waste. And we need a variety of other services, including recreation. So that's what that's kind of representing there in this slide. This plan does not drill down into specifics on all of these things, but it's trying to look at them at kind of an overview level and make sure they're working together.
Excuse me 1 second. We're over here, buddy. Yep, they're doing a slideshow, so they have to wait.
So does the city need this plan?
Sure.
Yes. It was part of the recovery plan, the financial recovery plan, to sort of, okay, do you know where you're going from here, and how are you going to start to generate more revenue through land uses, more intensive activity, investment in real estate, and so forth. But what are we dealing with really? We're dealing with 19th and 20th century development patterns. This is a city. It's a gridded city, and it is overlaid over these hills and valleys and so forth. And we don't see that in lots of other places in Pennsylvania. Okay, Pittsburgh, but let's not compare you to Pittsburgh. That's a pretty big jump. Many of the other towns in central Pennsylvania are located along the river. That river floodplain that's nice and wide and flat, and they can make the grid for as long as they want it to go. Here, because of that early industry, that early extraction, Shamokin was set up and the grid was laid out, and they kept expanding it in different directions. And that's what people continue to live in terms of the physical pattern today. It's pretty different than what we see in surrounding places. In central Pennsylvania, it's the hand we're dealt. The zoning ordinance, the city does have a zoning ordinance. Does anybody know when it was written?
1964.
Yeah, that wasn't yesterday.
Update 1965.
Yeah, I
Before I was born, so.
either date, it doesn't matter. They probably weren't contemplating marijuana shops and brew pubs and Airbnbs when it was written. So while a zoning ordinance is your regulatory tool that lets you say yes or no to a development proposal, it also needs to be maintained in a way that helps you say yes and no to new things that are coming up and feel that you're giving proposals a fair shake. So uses have changed. The way we live our lives has changed, the way we choose to move about. So that zoning ordinance needs to be updated too. That is a next step. And there is some direction in the comprehensive plan to say how that should happen and how that should begin, with the specifics to be worked out later. So I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Public infrastructure, community facilities, parks that were established long ago, water and sewer facilities, the whole floodplain creek protection, Shamokin Creek floodplain protection, all of that is aging. And in some cases, there's ways we've learned to do it better in the late 20th and 21st century. In other places, it just needs care to be replaced. Maybe it's the technology hasn't gone real far, but nonetheless, things need to be maintained so that they work well. So those are some of the other things that this needs to address. In the planning process, we usually work through these couple of steps. What are the current conditions? What are we dealing with? What development policies do you have now? What's the existing land use and built environment pattern? Are there natural and historic resources here? How significant are they? Are you looking at protections through your development policies? Are you taking advantage of them? Are those place-based assets, the things you can only find here? Are you using them in ways that help drive your economy and invite tourism and those sorts of things? So we look at those kinds of conditions both through our technical professional lens, but also ask citizens who live here, how do they feel about life, and what are the things that need attention? What are the development proposals that they would like to see? What has been turned down? Maybe what would have had a good benefit, but it had these hurdles. So conversation about that sort of thing is all part of that initial assessment of conditions, and then looking at what are the sort of issues, what are the things that really need to be fixed, and what are the opportunities to maybe strengthen and make things better because of a particular asset that you have. From there, we craft a vision and some objectives for that future, usually only about 10 years, because socially things change, economically things change. We can't really predict or forecast much beyond that. So 10 years is typically our planning horizon for a comprehensive plan. And we have identified 38 possible actions to help move you in the direction of that vision. And I won't say they're small, but it's a place to start. And they are prioritized. So you're not trying to tackle 38 at one time. You're looking at what are the things that we're doing now we need to keep doing. I would say above all else, like stick with the things that you are building into your practices, and then tackle a few of those top priorities and work through that list over time. And that's at the back. We'll look at that in a little bit. Here are the, this is the table of contents, more or less. There's an introduction. We've got a chapter that talks about citizen perspectives. When we were here a little longer ago than I wish I could say, but we were talking with folks in person. And we also had, so we had a little like drop-in session at what was then Bansi Coffee House. We had a drop-in session later that night at Artisan Alley, and we were talking with folks on the street as some of us were walking around neighborhoods in downtown asking folks, what's it like to live here? What are the good things that you can talk about? Because that's what you can build on. And what are the things that you wish you could fix? It's that sort of perspective. So that's captured in chapter 2. Chapter 3 is more about data, some numbers data, some qualitative data about those current conditions. Section 4 is about the issues and opportunities in these sort of big buckets of economic development, land use in the built environment, housing, travel and transportation, and then community facilities and services. There are 3 more chapters. Now, in 5, we get to our vision and our objectives. And here we start to talk about a future land use pattern. Where do we want commercial activity to be concentrated so that it can build on itself, ricochet customers from one store to another, as opposed to having them too spread out and people drop in at one store but don't visit another one, or they don't have an opportunity to walk past something else that might catch their eye. So the future land use pattern or map is I would say the keystone map in this particular, in any comprehensive plan. Chapter 6 is where you'll see a listing of those 38 actions. And chapter 7 provides a lot of detail about each particular action. It gives a little explanation about why it's important and how it starts to address the issues and opportunities that were discussed earlier in the plan. It talks about resources that are available, a little bit about sort of responsibility and capacity. Is this something that council would do? Is this something do or direct? Is this something that the planning commission could get started on if asked to do so? Is this something where you're looking for volunteers, or is there some other committee structure here at the city that would lead on that, or a partner you might look to in CEDACOG, whether it be Betsy or someone else, or DRIVE, the economic development agency in the region, those kinds of resources, so that you don't look at an action and go, oh my gosh, I have no idea where to start. No, here's a little bit of information about how and why, and how to start to ask some more questions if you can't get off ground zero. The timeline of actions is where we prioritize things. What are the things that do seem to be kind of ongoing activities today and should continue? And then what are next priorities to sort of add in new projects in kind of a 3-tier approach. The plan starts, and I called this a summary in the opening pages, but what I felt was important to try and express is that Shamokin has a deep history, and there have been ups and downs and all arounds before that our generations have not lived through. But these generations will be living through those changes too. So this kind of captures what I thought were some important aspects or qualities of Shamokin's history in the past and how the city was built up and how the community invested in itself. How did social institutions get built? How did the downtown get built? How did the first blocks get laid out? Like some of that is, I find that very motivating that someone thought this was a great place, maybe for an economic reason, maybe for a scenic resource reason, but they chose to invest here and more people came. The economy changed and people left. And then the economy changed again and it started to swell once more. So to look around and feel like there may be things about the city I don't like today, it doesn't have to be that way forever. They can be changed, they can be influenced, they can be informed by the actions that the city and others start to take. So past, present, and a little snippet of some opportunities for the future are here on this opening summary page. This is page 6. This is one of 2 of our pages from the Citizen Perspective chapter. And we have grouped things by these sort of affinity groups or themes. There were a bunch of comments around the economy, again, land use, built environment, housing. And we tried to pull together what we call findings, what our takeaways were from that survey and our conversations, things that people talked about. Sometimes it is about development and sometimes it's not, and that's okay. In a city that's has been established for so long, the opportunities for new development that we see in other greenfield kinds of spaces, it's just a different kind of development that we're looking at. So we reported the themes that we heard, regardless of whether we thought they were spot on relevant or maybe a little bit broader, and showed some word clouds here for things that people talked about. So this is the first page. This is the second page on transportation, city government, public services, and people and culture in general. I remember folks talking about, are people in Shamokin welcoming or not welcoming? Should we be more welcoming? Should we be more friendly? How do we get people to be more friendly? And I'm like, okay, it's really at the edge of like your social culture. That's not necessarily what we're trying to plan for, but to give folks a chance to say those things and think about and maybe suggest ways to make that better. I'm okay with airing those kinds of thoughts. There's a little more in this chapter, but I wanted to just sort of give you those preview graphics. Here's our vision in section 5. And this is a little bit long, but it starts to lay out what folks aspire the city could be in another 10 years. Are you able to read it, or would you like, I want to read it to you if you can read it yourself. I'll just be quiet.
I can read it, but I'm not speaking for everybody, so.
Everybody see it over on the other side?
I can read it. I can read it.
Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
so skim it. I'll be quiet for a moment just so you can take that in. All right, so it talks about building stocks. That's part of, this is a current condition we have, and what do we do about it? Some of it is historic and represents architecture that was built as part of your city's history, and that might be important to protect as part of your identity. There are other buildings that are maybe not quite so special, and whether or not they get rehabilitated or torn down or like those kinds of things, could be open for discussion. But the historic structures that really reflect intentional architecture and the architectural styles that were in use at the time of the city's prime when it was being built are worth preserving to the extent that you can. Maybe it's not the whole building, maybe it's the facade, maybe it's the story of the building or photographs of the building, if for some reason the building is in such dire condition. Preservation can mean lots of different things, but recognizing that that structure was important is kind of the underlying thing in preservation. Leveraging your heritage, your regional assets, your location. And I don't say that all that often. Location you can't change. I often tell people, I don't want to hear about your location. I can't do anything for you. There it is what it is. But the fact that you are a few miles away from some major metropolitan centers make you a great getaway destination. People can come here and feel like they've completely separated themselves from other areas. And whether they want to do that for a weekend or stay for a week or work here remotely and relocate here, those are all different versions of being an accessible location. If you offer something, a quality of life that they feel is what they're looking for versus where they are now. So they're potential visitors first and potential investors later. So that comes to welcoming those folks and showing them the opportunities for investment that are here. One of those points, affordable living. Affordable living is both in terms of housing, safe housing that is affordable for folks at the income levels that they have, but also in balance with the transportation options. Some communities focus a lot on housing affordability and just assume everybody's going to drive everywhere. Okay, so you're going to assume they can afford to pay for the car, pay for the gas, pay for the insurance, pay for the maintenance. You've got a walkable pattern here. You've got transit service that somebody might be able to stretch that 30% of their income that they would normally spend on a house and feel like it's still affordable. Maybe they can stretch that a little more because they're not paying for, maybe they're not paying for 2 cars or 3 cars. Maybe they're paying for 1, but they're able to manage their household and use some of these other circulation options that both reduce monetary costs, but also put them face to face with people on the street in a way that driving around in a car doesn't behind that glass windshield. Maintain development codes, enforce development codes, all very important, and looking for investments both from the public and the private sector in the infrastructure, physical and civic institutions that you need to make the city great. Let me see if I can sharpen this up. That's a little better. So those themes in the vision are kind of repeated in these 7 goal statements. The language is a little less prosy, a little more the city will do this or the city seeks to achieve this. We've got a number of objectives on, there are 18 of them, 15, 18 on the right-hand side that start to get into a next level about, okay, well, what kind of improvements do we want where? What are the changes we want to see? And these are things, I think of goals as, are we getting there? And objectives are we moving the needle? You know, we said we wanted to reduce something. Are we reducing it? We said we wanted to increase something else. We have to measure it, but are we moving the needle? Maybe in the first years, you're only kind of qualitatively able to determine that. But over time, hopefully you'll be able to really see measured improvements. Here's the future land use map. This is sitting in the vision, goals, and objectives chapter because it is a vision. It is a, how do we want our land uses to work across the city in the future? Where do we want things to be located? And not to say there couldn't be some exceptions, but we would try to create concentrations of activity, commercial activity, in the downtown. And what would the rough boundaries of that be? That could include residential and commercial uses. So we've got, again, people who are probably more reliant on walking and biking and transit than lots of vehicular travel. So that's a mixed use district, but certainly with a lot of commercial activity. Mixed use is the name for another one, and there are descriptions of each of these categories in the plan on the subsequent pages. So that orange area would allow some commercial uses. You've got a lot of city facilities in that orange area as well. The yellow areas are residential, mostly residential, an occasional business, corner shop. That's okay to serve a neighborhood if it provides some convenience for them. And then green areas, let me go purple for industrial areas, pretty close to where your existing zoning has them. And then the green are conservation areas, somewhat conservation from a woodland perspective, somewhat maybe steep slopes, harder to develop. The big one in the center is obviously the cemetery, and a green space for a different reason. The existence and even just the pattern of those green spaces can sometimes start to suggest where trail connections or enhanced pedestrian connections might want to go, because those green spaces are more comfortable in the summer where there's shade and there's trees and so forth. And it starts to create a network where people can spend their passive time. That land use map becomes, will become the zoning map with additional consideration. We, with either the planning commission if you choose, or some other advisory group, will craft that ordinance and the land use map, and we might move some boundaries. We might push some things around a little bit, but it will need to be generally consistent with what we've laid out here. So my colleague Sean and I have spent some time working on that. These next three slides are these action plan pages, organized by the objectives so that we can sort of track through how things relate to one another. Why did you say we should do action 5? Because it relates to this particular objective in this category. So that's how this is laid out. So building stock is the first category. Reduce the number of blighted properties. This is something you've already been working on, and it's not done yet. So continue to address, continue to identify and address blighted properties. The details are on page 48. It's an ongoing activity, and it probably will be ongoing through that entire period, just to be realistic. Incentivize building and property maintenance, rehabilitation where feasible. That's the objective. Nominating the Shamokin Commercial Historic District to the National Register, giving some recognition to those buildings that are part of the city's deep history, is in this building stock category. Stabilize aging building stock and prevent future blight. While right now you may be focused on addressing the most serious blight concerns, we certainly don't want more buildings to sort of slide into that category. At some point, you'll want to shift a little bit of resources into enhancing code enforcement, giving awareness, raising awareness for the importance of building and property maintenance to property owners. Just trying to encourage them along to make good decisions about property so that they don't slide. I won't walk through all of these, but just an example of how this is structured. So we have 3 pages that list out the 38 actions by their objectives. All right, this is actually a slide from the Planning Commission meeting. So we did that back in July. We did the 45-day public review period for government agencies and the public. So the municipality's planning code says the city, and I did so on your behalf, was to notify the county planning commission, the adjacent, in this case, surrounding township, Cole Township, and the school district. The county and the school district had already been part of our advisory committee, and neither had any comments. Cole Township, I provided it to the manager. I sent a reminder. I didn't receive anything. So at that point, we have met the requirement for that public review. I didn't receive any public comments either. Did anyone at the city get any feedback? I think they were all directed to me, but I didn't, just in case somebody.
No, we haven't gotten any mail addressed to you here.
Okay. All right. So at this point, we've met the requirement for, or by being here this evening, we're meeting the requirement for the public hearing. And you can adopt this comprehensive plan. The guidance from the state is that you do that within 90 days. That you're following a good faith effort to sort of figure anything out, or feel comfortable with this plan if you need additional time to read or review it or discuss it. If in fact you find there's some gap or major error or flaw of some sort, it can be kicked back, but then we start over with this review process. So I had said in my scope of work that I would be here and give this overview. Not all of the council members have I even met before, met a few through earlier interviews and so forth. But this, gave me an opportunity to talk a little bit about the work that went into this and what its result is. The plan itself has been available on a URL link. I forget if it's a tiny URL or how I created it, but it's been available in the public notices for folks to see, and I hope you've had an opportunity to look at it as well. And I'm happy to answer any
Mr.
questions.
Slavy, can we get a hard copy in case anybody wants to see it at the front desk?
Sure.
If we could get it, show the public if they want to see that.
We'll put it up at the front counter.
Could you just put
It's
the
a
lights
shame
back
because
on,
1
please?
through 7 or A through G.
Yeah.
It is mostly blighted properties, and we are addressing that. We
Mhm.
have been addressing that very, very
Aggressively.
Yeah,
aggressively, yes.
Trying to.
And with the help in the code enforcement, we are already, maybe we're a step ahead of this 10-year plan by trying to address this.
well, I got 37 more things for you to work on, Mike.
No.
No, I don't mean to be snarky about that, but yes, I'm glad that you have been giving that attention and that hasn't lapsed in recent
Yeah,
years.
because it seems like the first 7 steps were always blight, housing, and just deterioration. So we are aware of that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Certainly an opportunity for public comment if you wish to share that with council at this time as well. That's appropriate.
Don't get your feelings hurt. I've been here for 12 years and they don't seem to break down to the doors to come into public hearings. And that's just the way it is. And it's not only like that here, it's like this in other communities too. You
Yes.
give them an opportunity, some take advantage of it, and some don't. But I thank you. I thank you on behalf of the city. Just a quick introduction. You have the mayor there who you've met before, Mike Duganitz. He's on
Mhm.
council.
I interviewed him.
What's your last name?
Kaylor.
Kaylor. He's on council. And then this is our new girl here,
Welcome.
Thank you.
Angie. Okay,
Remember my last name?
Arnold. You've been hanging around with Bruce too long.
I want to see if he screws up Barbara's last name.
And I have, this is our teacher. She's a retired educator. How long were you a retired educator?
Oh, for a while. Couple of
Most of the people that Bob has interviewed over the past 12 years, they've gone through her
Okay.
at some point in time. So, but she is the retired councilwoman, Ms. Moyer, Barbara Moyer.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, if we don't have
Yes.
any more questions for her, we'll end this part. And those of you that are here for the regular special council meeting, you're welcome to stay put. We're not going anywhere. And we'll give her just a couple of minutes to get your stuff and
Kick her out.
Yeah.
Michelle,
We're gonna like-
I do have a quick question. So we
Yeah.
passed along to the city the resolution language that needs to
Yes.
be signed. Once they feel comfortable, since they've already met all of their timing obligations,
Yes.
could they sign that at the next public meeting?
Yes.
There you go.
But there's a motion on tonight
To do it tonight.
to do it tonight.
Oh,
Oh, this doesn't need two times.
No,
no, not for a resolution.
Okay,
No.
wonderful.
so we can get this done. Okay.
if you're so inclined, yes.
Meeting thing.
And
Our meeting shouldn't last long, so if you,
And you're number 2 in this.
you want to stay?
I can. It's not a problem. I can just sit down and be quiet.
Kevin, man,
Get comfortable. Val, can you tell me how to light on?
with you, so you sit here.
I can see my.
There we go.
I'm your son. Well, not the big one.
It's on the white cloud. You see me in purple for stuff.
Angie, before we leave, I had some questions. They were just,
Chief said,
they were just curious what this.
Hold on.
That seat is empty. Why don't you go sit over there?
I'll just talk. Over there towards Clark Hill. That's where the person lives over there. They were asking me a question about it. So, that part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, we see this case. You remember.
So, I'll talk to you.
Don't worry about me.
Ready, Robert?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, so we can start with, do we have any citizen comments contingent upon any business on the agenda? No? Okay, then we can go on to new business. Do we have a motion, or I'll request a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the city of Shamokin and Anthracite Outdoor Venture Area?
On the question, this is for the area from the, this is the memorandum giving them, control of, from the
The
portal,
portal.
correct?
Yes.
And that's it, just,
Maintenance.
yeah, the maintenance, cutting the trees down
Yes.
and,
Yes.
and cleaning up and everything, okay. I make the motion.
Should be okay.
I'll second it.
So a motion by Councilman Duganitz and a second by Councilman Taylor. On a roll call. On the question first, if there is any other questions,
No,
then roll call.
proceed. Councilwoman Arnold,
Yes.
Councilman Duganitz.
Yes,
Councilman Taylor,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moyer, Mayor McLaughlin,
Yes,
the motion carries.
okay. Request a motion to approve resolution 25-11, confirming that the city of Shamokin's comprehensive plan has been prepared in accordance with the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code and will serve as the official guide for the city's future growth, development, and community revitalization efforts.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
So we have anything on the question? So
I think Michelle made sure of that.
Councilwoman Arnold,
Yes.
Councilman Duganitz.
Yes,
Councilman Taylor,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moyer,
Yes.
and Mayor McLaughlin.
yes,
The motion carries unanimous.
do we have anything under unfinished business?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Anything under boards and committees?
I believe we have thrown something on Facebook in regards to what we talked about at the last meeting, getting word out if anybody's interested for some of these boards and committees.
Okay, I didn't see that.
You don't have it on?
Not yet.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay,
There'll be two of the zoning and one of the RDA. Two zoning, one RDA.
Two zoning.
Right.
correct. And we're gonna do that? You have that, okay. Anything else under boards and committees?
No, sir.
Okay, then we'll go to the solicitor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There is a motion, there could be a motion for request to approve ordinance number 25-03, which is amending ordinance 20-05, operation of off-highway road vehicles. So this would be a first reading of this, so I certainly can summarize it. So this would be an ordinance, City of Shamokin, Northumberland County, Pennsylvania, amending ordinance 20-05, the operation of off-highway road vehicles. Whereas the city wishes to modify the original ordinance under 20-05, the operation of off-highway vehicles. Now therefore be it ordained by council of the City of Shamokin that section 1, we would be amending section 4 of the original ordinance to add and include the following streets: East Clay Street towards North Lombard Street. North Lombard Street towards East Shakespeare Street. East Shakespeare Street towards East Potter Street. South Fifth Street, 10 block West Chestnut Street to West Spruce Street. 200 and 300 blocks of South Fifth Street to Cole Street. West Chestnut Street, 300 block through 500 block, 6th Street to 3rd Street. North Orange Street, 600 block Independence Street to Commerce Street. East Water Street, 200 and 300 block Liberty Street to Rock Street. East Shakespeare Street, 400 through 900 blocks, Rock Street to Lombard Street. North Lombard Street, 300 and 400 blocks, Shakespeare Street to Clay Street. East Clay Street, 1000 block, Lombard Street to City Line. We're also amending section 4 to delete the following: East Mulberry Street to the 200 block of Shamokin Street. Section 3, where we would be amending section 6 of the original ordinance. Within language, all drivers must carry proof of a valid ATV registration and insurance and provide upon request. Operation of any OHRV on city streets shall be limited to a period from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. from November through March. Operation of any OHRV on city streets shall be limited to a period from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. from April through October. No person shall operate an OHRV on city streets without operable headlights, taillights, and brakes. No person, regardless of age, shall operate an OHRV on city streets without a Department of Transportation certified helmet and protective eyewear. Operators and passengers of ATVs and OHRVs must have helmets securely fastened and wear protective footwear. No open-toe shoes or sandals are permitted. No one under the age of 16 is permitted to operate an ATV or OHRV on city streets at any time. If any section of this ordinance is deemed to be unconstitutional, it doesn't affect the other ordinance, and then this ordinance shall become effective upon signing, and all ordinances which conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. And that is the first reading of this ordinance.
Mr. Greco, if I can ask, or just make it part of the record, Michelle has brought to my attention what we had discussion in regards to this ordinance in reference to the letters, the 3 letters that are mentioned.
You have 3 letters
Yes, I do.
requesting to
Yes, I
to
do.
add streets
And they
to
are
it.
parts of this.
Yes, I did give you a copy of it. Everyone has a copy of it.
I have 2.
I have 2.
The third one was the,
All these
No,
letters,
Psycho,
Mr.
Chaco.
Greco, were put in members of council's box.
So those are in addition to what was out, what I've just read, or those
No, they
included?
encompass that.
They
Okay.
encompass that.
Okay,
You okay with that, Mr. Greco?
sure, because that's,
Okay.
Yeah, I do believe there is one on the Brap House request. I think there's one street that's on Paul's letter that we received today that we don't have into this, but we can hammer that one out. That we just got that today. There's one street on here. I would believe it's 4th Street. Am I correct? 4th Street. That will have to, we can either do that in the second reading.
Was that there?
what would be the proposed street? Or,
The boundaries of
Yes.
that from Chestnut
To Spruce.
to Spruce
sir.
on 4th.
You have 5th already, and then I wanna add 4th as well. That neighborhood backs up to the other neighborhood. In lining 4th are a bunch of single garages, which we're in contract to buy some for storage. We'd be able to use that. It's not very residential on that little street.
And that if you wrote this letter, that states that. what you're saying is in here.
Yes.
So, but this is the first reading. We could add that language considering we just brought it up.
Yes.
So it's not,
So when we get to this will
surprise.
go back on the agenda for the November meeting, Mr. Greco?
yes, this would, yes, okay. So, yeah, we would do the second meeting in November.
Okay.
So that would be on the agenda.
Is there anywhere in the ordinance that, they have to, I know you have the helmets and the open toe shoes and all that, about speeding, because that seems to be a big thing.
Yes, there is. I'm looking.
I also seem to recall when the prior chief was heavily involved, Mr. Tobias, and you maybe remember this, he sort of hammered away on emphasizing that they are under the same
Yes,
rules.
right.
There's a road.
I mean,
Yes.
what I'm trying to say is now if we're going to do something with with the ATV vehicles, and we're bringing this back into a conversation, maybe we need to emphasize more that the speeders are not, since everybody's going to be going, oh my gosh, they're doing this and this and this and the helmets and everything. We need to tell them, abide by these rules,
Right.
by the street rules.
That was in the original ordinance,
Okay,
so we're not changing that.
all right.
No, so that's.
So we need to
that would still be
emphasize it, that's all.
Yes, it would still be there.
Thank you.
Right, the only thing we're doing are the changes.
Yes.
Everything else remains the same.
Yeah, I just heard Mr. Greco talk about, helmets and requirements, and I just thought, well, speeding is also.
Basically, you're just bringing it back up.
Yeah, just bring it back up.
There were a couple changes there on the wording of some of those. That's why it was included in the changes. Mike.
Will we get a copy of this?
Yep. Yes, I have what I did to give to the city now. And then I still have to make the change.
Okay,
But I'll give this to the city. This is the draft. I think my secretary sent this down.
Yes.
So can the email then be sent to everyone?
thank you.
One of the things that I said is I would have been happy with a 90-day trial period, but I do understand from Solicitor Greco and our chief that at this stage of the game, that would jeopardize the ordinance and so forth, and we don't, I certainly don't want to do that, so. we didn't use that.
So do we have a motion?
A motion.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Kaler.
I'll second.
Anything on the question? Any further question? If not, roll call.
Councilwoman Arnold.
Yes.
Councilman Duganitz.
Yes,
Councilman Taylor.
Yes.
Councilwoman Warrior.
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimous.
That's all I have for this evening.
thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else on your list, Bob? There's nothing else on the,
And citizen comments.
so, yeah.
That was missed.
Anything on citizen comments now on anything at all?
I have a question.
Sure.
In regards to that, are you guys open to other suggestions that would help enhance things to change for the ATV route? I think the hours are way off on the summer. You guys are ending the road earlier than the gate closes on the portal some nights. So if somebody's coming out, or even if you close the roads at the exact time that the portal closes, you don't give people time to get home.
Well, we actually extended it by an hour to make sure that summer hours were good.
Maybe I heard it wrong then.
Yeah, because it now is 9 to 5. Yeah, well, currently it's sunset,
Okay.
which needless to say, gets really hairy because that was one of the questions or the concerns that the police have, because we have to try to determine when sunset is. So a while ago, we talked about just putting a fixed time, which was 5 o'clock. But then we did try to do it later for summer months so that we were open a little bit later to give people a chance to get around.
Okay.
I mean, if we do need to modify that, I mean, we most certainly can.
that's what this is about, but at the same time, that
would be one question. My second question would be, the city ordinance only allows a couple days, whereas AOAA is open longer. Is there any chance of opening additional days on the roads?
I honestly don't think the ordinance.
I might have read an old version, but I feel like I read something that said Thursday, Friday, Saturday are the only days that ATVs are really supposed to be on the road in the city.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
That's 4 days.
Yeah, Thursday through Sunday.
Well, because AOAA doesn't do what they're supposed to.
No.
That's a different issue.
Could that have been possibly done by resolution? Maybe an old,
I think
the
anytime
first
we
readings, maybe.
have, since the AOAA has come into existence, whenever there's been a change relating to the city, okay, it was done by amending the resolution.
Okay.
And I seem to recall we did it at least twice over the years. What he's talking about to be discussed, tossed around with us, it could be naturally, AOAA business is gonna slow down, but if you know anything about it, this past weekend, it was quite busy to the tune of about 400 patrons.
I don't see
But we
it.
can,
I don't see that language in the old ordinance.
okay,
And again, if it was by resolution, I think that gave the city some flexibility on what days.
And I would think we could most certainly adjust that accordingly.
I might also be communicating it wrong. It may just be to the gate on the portal and not just listed for the streets. But that's kind of the issue that I'm getting at. The portal's not open during the week, so we limit tourism to a 3-day period. It should be open earlier and throughout the week. Whenever AOAA is open, the portal should be open. It should go hand in hand.
We would have to discuss that with AOAA, to make sure that they have the manpower to open that gate.
Well, right, but at the same time, the way it would be worded is if the portal is open, it would be in effect. So if the AOA chose to man the portal 2 more days, then it would be into effect. But that most certainly would be more like the portal part on opening has been up to the AOA on when they man the portal. But I would think,
Holds everybody hostage to the AOAA.
well, it's
Well,
You're the city,
unfortunately-
and you kind of dictate to them how it should be.
Well,
Well,
unfortunately, it's really hard because then the AOA is actually helping us out because they are in direct line with our first responders. Because there's a lot more to it. You have safety issues.
Mhm.
They're in contact with our police department, first responders, so if something happens, so it's not like, and unfortunately, our first responders are volunteer. It's not like they're going to be there or a drop of the hat all the time.
well, the other part is staffing.
Yeah,
That we
staffing.
have nothing to do with their staffing.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to
Mhm.
create a way to encourage this because we've heard repeatedly from a lot of people that plan these ATV vacations. It's big money to get out there, to haul your stuff out there. And if you can't do it for a week period, they keep going to Hatfield, McCoy in West Virginia and they're bypassing this.
I mean, I don't,
It's limited to a weekend at this point. and
I most
that's not
certainly
helping
don't see it
tourism.
being an issue on our part of it if the AOA chose to open the portal.
absolutely. And
More.
I think since we've had a wonderful, great working relationship, I'm not speaking against anything that you're saying, but during the time that I've been here and that AOAA has come into existence, but I don't think there's ever been once any bad words between them and the mayor and city council down here. They're very good to work with, and I think it's a subject that
We
bring
can
their
most certainly take up with
representatives
them,
and
yes.
us
I believe
together.
we're still crawling.
Part of
We're
the
not-
reason
we're
I
not
bring it
walking.
up is because I've spoken briefly with Mike in the past, and Mike has said, well, it's AOAA that determines this. And so we went to AOAA and said, hey, we think guys should do this, and they said, we can't because the city determines it. So again, I think
It's
communication and maybe giving them some guidance and
Mayor,
we could
it's
bringing the
worthwhile
horse
looking
to the
into.
water.
Absolutely.
We can go to
Yeah.
an AOA.
We'll look into that.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yes.
absolutely. Okay. Any other citizen comments?
I was wondering, didn't Cole Township just pass an ordinance
Yes, they did.
for the ATVs? Are they,
That was part of what we just did,
okay,
was to allow the connection between Cole Township and Shamokin.
but our ordinances read the same as far as requirements?
Not necessarily.
Well, I think that's something we should take into consideration as well. If it's different in Shamokin than it is in Cole Township,
Well, I mean, if they're coming onto the Shamokin streets, they have to follow our rules. So on that side of it, it most certainly,
Just from an outsider's perspective, I still have no idea where Shamokin ends and Cole Township starts
Right,
anywhere, so
exactly.
that could be very confusing for some people.
and I have no issue, we can reach out to Cole Township and ask them to, I don't even know if they have a true ATV ordinance. I think they just gave permission.
All together.
Which is the first
Right.
time I think they did.
I think they gave permission to see how it was
How it
going.
would work.
I can most certainly reach out to them, give them a copy of when we get this done, we can give them a copy of our ordinance. Maybe they'll just adopt the same thing with their streets instead of ours. Yeah, I have no problem with that at all. Good thought.
I think that's important, just because they don't know when they're crossing into Cole Township, so.
Yeah, no, it is a
should
good
be
thought,
the
and
same.
we're used to it because we live here, but taking it under consideration, most certainly.
And with that group there, that's a guided tour, so they're gonna have under supervision come in.
Not all guided tours,
Not
they're
over
not
at
all
Checo?
guided tours.
Yeah, not all of it.
We're also doing rentals.
Yep, they're not all guided tours.
Oh, does Cole Township know this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, because that's what the assumption was that I heard when we went to that meeting.
Right, but and you are 100% correct. In the original meetings, that's what they were talking, but that changed. Needless to say, you and I were not involved in that. That was a Cole Township thing. That changed well into it. Okay, anything else under citizen comments?
Mike?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. This isn't, this isn't under the citizens portion, but we're done with that. Angie, you're welcome to speak up, okay, in regards to what I have here, because you've been leading this with, along with Michelle. And this has, members of council, what I'm getting to is this has to do with parking lots and applications being completed for people to be parking in city-owned lots. Am I correct? What I'm saying? Okay, again, feel free to stop me from talking if I'm out of line. Angie, why don't we go with you? I just want to say, her and Michelle have done a magnificent job riding around, going to these areas which are all city-owned property. And they've come up with some interesting information. And I think it's extremely important that city council and mayor act. Don't have to do it today, but just make you aware and where we're going. But they have done a great job. And the end results will be, we're gonna have a lot of people not parking on city grounds.
Or paying to park on city grounds, right?
Where they should.
Which is the goal,
Yes,
that they pay to
Right.
park on city
Go ahead.
grounds.
Michelle and I have revised the parking lot permit application and actually came up with two different prices for passenger cars, light duty trucks, and SUVs, and then another price for food trucks, campers, and heavy duty trucks.
Now,
And
members of council, just so you know, you all got a copy of
Yes.
this.
just for your review. And then, it lists all of the lots that we do own. And then the second, we decided to come up with, actually a waiver form for everybody who applies to read and initial each section, release of liability, compliance with laws, and use at own risk. And then they print and sign the bottom of it also. And hopefully we're gonna start this for the beginning of 2026. And Kevin and I and Chief Psycho are trying to come up with some kind of game plan for signage. Because it just gets to be more cost effective, so we don't have to get individual signs for every single lot that's there. Just so maybe we're trying to think of coming up with something like no parking between signs, private property,
Permit
violators.
parking.
Correct, and violators will be towed at, their own expense. So
Is
we're
this
hoping
a yearly fee or by?
it's gonna be a yearly fee.
Okay,
If they decide to apply for something as the year goes on, then we'll prorate them,
gotcha.
So you could probably get away with 3 at least, 1 on each side, same point this way, and then 1 in your center.
one in the center that probably,
Yeah.
that would state that.
Yes,
every
from
property
this side to that side,
And
like
then,
arrow to arrow or something.
right, and then Kevin actually came up with a good idea, I talked to him the other day about it. The downtown parking meter permits, like their parking permits, they put in a dash, keeping theirs white. And maybe the ones that are on the lots that we own, making theirs purple, so they can differentiate who's are who, so they can't take that white permit and park downtown and vice versa.
Good.
And I think, don't they change the colors of the permits too, chief? Because that way you know what
They
year.
changed it because what people were doing was hiding the date and just drop it in the window, and when we see the permit, we just know it that way. But yeah, the 2 colors are definite, because
Yeah.
that's gonna alleviate that.
Right,
And another thing is we have to get to the public that this is only for this area, this color's for this area. So I know what's gonna happen, they're gonna park and say, well, I have a permit,
right,
so it's gonna come out to education when you put it out online.
right.
Something that might help is meter people with ticketing. We started with the dumpster permits on Marco. The date that it expires, we drive down the street, we can, you know what I mean? Instead of getting out and not being, like he said, they block it, put things in front of them. Then it has the whole front of it has like 8 of 28 on it, or,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're,
And it looks it, not without trashing it up, but it makes it a lot easier.
right, yeah, I mean, we talked about how we're gonna do it, like permanent marker
Mhm.
to write
Yes.
everything on it so they can't kind of find it. and
But
stuff
each
like
lot
that.
will be printed on
Yeah,
the,
what about a sticker on a windshield?
Yeah, we were
Or on
talking
the
about.
windshield.
That's a cost.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but it works good because when we were in Philadelphia, they do that. If you don't have that sticker, you get the ticket.
Right, I know we did talk about
Regardless.
putting a sticker like on,
They make you pay for that sticker, you don't
But
have
if
that
they're
sticker.
paying,
Trucks.
if they're paying for the year though, and we change the colors,
They have to reapply.
then, right, if it's a purple one and we change the white, they get a ticket. Yeah, the date wouldn't really be as imperative if you're doing it by the year,
Right.
because the permit is
If
gonna
you see a
change.
white one, you know it's 2025, if you go to
Correct.
blue and 26, we know it's blue.
Some,
Oh, yeah.
the dark colors with the sun, if it's in a windshield, could fade out.
right.
No,
You
so
can make
about
one front
photocopies.
cover.
I know the stickers work good because when I was down there, that's what they did. They made
Right.
have a sticker and it was numbered. And if it
Do we
wasn't-
have to do this by ordinance
Resolution.
resolution?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or even little small stickers that they put in the back of their.
That's what it was. That,
I'm just
Mirror or
worried about
something.
somebody going to a photocopier with, purple paper and making another copy.
Making their own.
There you go.
Well, what you do is, on personal opinion, if I may,
Sure.
Absolutely.
what I would do is, I think we should get some sort of indentation stamp for
Mhm. Yeah,
almost like a Commonwealth
them. A
stamp.
raised indentation stamp, that we know the only one who has that stamp's the city, and if it's gonna be located in the left lower corner, if we look and don't see the raised insignia, it's fake.
yeah, that it's counterfeit, right. Yeah.
So does
Just
the
something.
year start from the date that they purchase?
no, from
No,
January.
it had to start from
So
the beginning of the
then,
year.
so then, if they're a couple months after that,
They still have to
they
pay
still
the,
have to pay.
I would
the-
say they still have to pay the full.
We could do a
There's
cutoff
no
date
prorating,
at
there's-
somewhere in there. I mean, you could do prorating realistically.
After a certain amount.
I personally think we should just do it by the year, and
I was
if,
just curious.
if they wait until December to decide to do it, then they're gonna have to
Pay in January.
pay.
Yeah, that would be so confusing.
But we have, just riding around, I mean, every now and then I ride around and it's just amazing the number of vehicles that are on our lots. And it's
And aren't
just-
paying.
Right, and then just all the revenue that.
Well, needless to say, thank you both for taking, all three of you for working on that.
Just one other
And
thought.
also the chief, he's been involved.
Yes.
There's no guarantee, put on here, there's no guarantee that they're gonna get the same parking area or the same spot.
Install would be, install. So that don't start to create a major problem. Well, I was always part 3 and now I'm 7 down.
Right. Just a
Stalls,
thought.
stalls will be made available, or
And
stalls will be
if
made available.
somebody tries to play the game of, well, prorate it because I'm paying in September, because they want winter
Right.
parking, you have to pay for the year.
You're getting, right.
Yep.
And I think that's just something we just make the decision, it's for the year.
Okay,
Then their call, whether they wanna do it for 3 months and pay the $100 or
Right.
they, because otherwise it's gonna turn into a bookkeeping nightmare.
Yes, you need to be aware.
Do you do it by
People will
sections, like, are you gonna make people park in this section all year round, or are they gonna be able to like flip flop, or
no, they'll be,
is it one spot?
to spot.
Same
they'll be
spot?
assigned to
Street.
their spot, like over on whatever
Okay.
street.
Yeah.
And the
It
permit's
does
only
say
good
it in
for
the
spot
second
there.
page,
Yes.
the
Well, that's what I mean, like
restrictions,
that section,
that we will choose where the vehicle will go. They won't get to choose, and each permit will have what lot that they were assigned to. So if it's Pearl Street, if it's Chestnut, if it's Third Street, it will say it on the permit.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
And needless to say, as long as we keep Chief Psycho in the mix, we'll be in good shape. Okay.
If it gets too complicated, we have a special attorney in the courthouse that can take care of things.
I know, I'll be texting him, hey, you know.
Which car, like, can't they just take their little ticket out of their car and give it to their
We-
husbands?
Well,
or
this
whatever?
is, we talked about this because any game you can play with a handicap placard is played well. The thing about it is, and when myself and the councilwoman talk, it is specific to the vehicle. Because what's gonna happen is someone's gonna have a party and they're gonna hand them theirs and say, oh yeah, park there, no issue. And what we're looking for is just a placard.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, we don't have the time to look at the placard and go, okay, a Ford F-150, this is in the Mitsubishi. We're looking for that placard.
Right,
And then with that as well, I would put, I don't know if it's in there or not. It's been a nightmare of the last 2 weeks. I also put in there, misuse of it is automatic termination of the
Right.
Have it. It's in there, yeah.
It's in.
And it does say on the application vehicle type, if that helps.
Yeah.
So we have to put it on
You
the,
gave that to me Tuesday. I'm only on last Monday's paperwork. I'm getting there. I'm getting through it.
Gotta step up your game.
Yeah.
That's it. Mayor.
Okay, if that's it, then we're gonna adjourn our meeting at 7:10. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
So Michelle, are you
What's that?